All right, just waiting on YouTube synchronization here. All right, it looks like we are good to go. So with that, my name is Jared. This is Engineering the Markets. It is July 20th. This is Engineering the Markets. Let's go ahead and take a look at yesterday's price action and some activities yesterday and talk about what we can look forward to for the rest of the week. We'll start off with the dollar index, which just as additional confirmation, we're seeing sort of that closure above some key technical levels. We have sort of this swing high back in November, a breach of this area, which led to sort of a top in the dollar and a bottom in the equities market after a significant sell-off. And now we're seeing, once again, that rally into this zone with some additional strength and consolidation against the technical level. This close that occurred yesterday and the continuation we're seeing this morning is putting a bit of pressure on the equities market. And we're also seeing very notable reactions in the metals market with things like silver, gold sort of stalling in its counter trend rally, and even lesser metals, things like copper and palladium and platinum. Also coming to the downside with the dollar pressure. So we're getting some normal inverse correlation effects with the dollar strength. This can also be felt in things like the cryptocurrency market, which for those who are tracking things like Bitcoin right now are testing 30,000. We're seeing a lot of downside in some of the altcoins, and outside of a few notable names, things like Dash and some one-off activities, these coins are kind of correlated all in the same direction, which is to the downside. So continued pressure in the short term based around, in my opinion, things like the dollar starting to inflect against a larger macroeconomic sort of thesis, which is the idea that the monetary policy right now is quite easing, and therefore the dollar appreciation should be, the opposite way, to the downside. Some additional information from yesterday. We had talked last week about this potential bottom that was trying to be set in the 10-year interest rates. And this was just simply based on some previous technical levels. This 1.3 as an automatic rally or reaction from the COVID lows, along with the fact that we've seen price action gap through this area before, which tells us that this is sort of an inflection point for the market. As we saw yesterday, the bond market continued to rally, which took interest rates much lower. And with this significant gap down, we did see a lot of volatility in the equities market, as maybe the momentum of the bond market, along with the speed of this change, is causing some uncertainty, a little bit of fear. And then obviously we have sort of news-based or catalyst-based economic I would say talking points, things centering around the potential of the efficacy of the vaccine for the new variants, whether or not this is going to spark economic slowdown, and things like shutdown potential both in the US and in other countries. Usually when we see sort of a lack of clear-cut information, the market is striving to find that information where it can, along with some early, I would say maybe profit-taking, correction, and fear in the short term for the market to digest what the next course of action is for the economy. So as we have this breakdown of the 10-year, the bond market is, of course, shooting higher to the upside. So that also invalidates that swing high in something like the TLT. But with this is our alternate thesis. And usually when this occurs, this is going to be that sort of big shift in how we think about these markets, along with the volume confirmation from just our charting experience, knowing that this is a more serious move, given the size, the momentum, and then obviously the gap and volume from a charting perspective. So is the bond market trying to tell us that while we do have monetary policies that are quite easing and in the short term backdrop were inflationary in nature, there are maybe some other aspects to this market that are leaning more towards economic slowdown, the lack of growth in certain areas, and then how this affects us as traders. Where should we be looking for opportunity, and should we be considering additional, I would say, risk-off postures for things like short-term investments or trades? So bond market certainly on the move. From a technical level, we are clearing some moving averages on the weekly. And I think just short-term noticing how significant this gap is really indicates that there was quite a big change in the tone of this market, which we had been seeing having sort of a short-term bounce since, basically last week and the weeks prior. So now that we're clearing this trading range, it is changing how we need to analyze this market. Let's see. And the VIX index as well, seeing that sharp spike yesterday. Nothing out of the ordinary here. We do have a big gap down in the SPY, but more notable than just the VIX spike is whether or not we can see some sort of significant time frame closure above previous swing highs, and also starting to clear this sort of general resistance zone that has been on the VIX charts for quite a while. Usually we've seen corrections be adjusted and bought quite rapidly. We're asking ourselves now that we are in this sort of corrective mode in the market, is this going to be a repeat of previous vol spikes, or are we seeing something much larger in the making? We certainly had a lot of, I would say, downside pressure yesterday with most of our sectors to the downside. And this is the idea that as tech was not necessarily carrying the market forward during the past couple of days, the baton was also not getting passed to other large sectors. You want to think things like healthcare, which took a little bit of a dive against the larger trend, consumer discretionaries in that sort of risk off posture and correcting, although with high volume at a key moving average support level. We'll talk about that across the board. Financials have not yet found themselves in a leadership position once again. With bonds heading up and with interest rates heading down, financials are sort of losing their luster and their sort of trading thesis for continued upside in the short term. So we'll be looking more to the weekly and see that we are losing the 20. We just tested it a few weeks prior. We saw some nice bounce follow through, but once again, the momentum and speed of the bond market is affecting the equity sectors that benefit from this thesis. And that can be seen across the board with things like industrials, anything that has more of an inflationary benefit. Energy, of course, seeing the brunt of the hit with crude oil down significantly last session. Although, once again, we are at notable support levels. So counter trend, counter bounce rallies are likely to occur amidst this volatility. We just need to find which ones are more likely versus others. Let's see, and materials probably hit the hardest across the technical overview and ultimately had the weakest bounce. So in the aftermath of more downside, materials is likely going to take the larger hit. And we are certainly losing trend along with the clear back test that has occurred, confirming that that trend is no longer what is identifiable as support. This has turned into a resistance zone for the time being. So all of our sectors trading weak yesterday. We did have a couple of shining stars in the smaller time frames. I still think healthcare is definitely a leader for now. We're seeing sort of correlation in the short term, but healthcare has proven itself to be strong amidst a market that was weak. So this pullback just getting us back to the 20. We're actually closing slightly above on the daily. XBI, not necessarily outperforming the market, but showing some short-term bottoming strength here. We'll see if that continues. And then as I brought up XLY, while it did pull back to the 50, therefore a deeper pullback and probably a larger percentage correction overall, this area showing some increased interest and demand based on how we closed and the reaction against the 50. So we'll see if this has at least short term some bounce follow through, getting us at least back to testing the 20 period moving average. Now, some other names that were sort of bucking the trend amidst a lot of stocks that were to the downside. We still have mRNA outperforming. We have this new aspect to mRNA where it is being added to the S&P 500. So there is some momentum and follow through in the short term. Obviously getting a bit extended at this time, but looking to see, you know, how high can this go? And then even being able to play maybe the downside fade once things have settled in this name. Let's see, Tesla. This is going to be our consumer discretionary area. And this is where, amidst a market that was to the downside most of the session, Tesla actually did hold in a zone that we sort of expect based on previous reactions. So we can see how clear cut this support level is based on this test and setting up the level in the first place. We've also filled this gap, which was sort of the start of that breakout that occurred back in mid-June. So now we're in this trading range. We're seeing maybe Tesla facilitate some upside in consumer discretionaries, and that would be on the event that Tesla can maybe retest its trading range high. We also have the likes of former CEO Jeff Bezos looking to do a space flight, I believe, today, as long as it hasn't been canceled or adjusted. While technically not the CEO of Amazon, we do have sort of that correlation effect. I'm sure a lot of eyes on in the short term, as we saw the same event occur with things like space, and space finally seeing a little bit of bottoming action as well. Once again, another name that has bucked the trend in a weak overall market yesterday. So a couple things to keep on watch. I'm also looking across for opportunities. If we do get the bounce that is expected amidst some of this downside volatility, then what areas can we focus on maybe for follow through? Either they are strong sectors that are simply pulling back, or they are oversold areas of the market that may see more recovery because of the imbalance that has been occurring for longer than the pullback overall. So some names that I'm looking at are going to be all of the cruises. We saw some potential volume capitulation type bottoming, and the setup on the technical in the structure of the daily chart holding in a range. NCLH, very similar, you know, that sort of indecision amidst a larger sell-off, and RCL as well. So the fact that all three major cruises that I particularly watch showing the same sort of setup, finding one that maybe gives a good opportunity back to the upside with some clear signals of potentially breaking yesterday's high and sort of clearing psychological resistance, something like 70 on RCL, 20 on CCL, and whatever NCLH is trading at, about 22.5. Additionally, if we just look at the JETS ETF, we see sort of that similar price action. So travel, cruises, and airliners in the same general boat in the short term. I'm looking at this as potential for some short-term capitulation and setting a low, given the volume and the daily chart reaction. We can look at some stocks like AEL on their daily hitting the 200, higher elevated volume, and not necessarily weak in a marketplace that did close quite poor. Shifting to the weekly, seeing things like converging moving averages near the 20, along with some previous support zones. DAL after earnings, of course, but once again, in that spot where we expect reactions based on previous history. And then UAL, probably the worst in the technical structure, but maybe some of the riskier names maybe having additional volatility to the upside. Now, with all these names, the only risk in the short term is that there is earnings coming up for the remainder of these airliners. So DAL is the only one that has announced. All of these would be intraday to multi-day short-term swings with the understanding that earnings adds additional risk. So potentially a move into earnings along with the potential for bottoming based on their charts. So a couple of names to review and monitor today, trying to give some opportunity for short-term traders. Another name that was also quite interesting, I would say, based on Tesla and based on the fact that NIO still has sort of this shorter term correlation to strength in the EV market, it being more of a leader in this space and also just a more visible name to a lot of day swing and just overall traders in the market. Pretty notable close on NIO, lots of intraday strength, decent volume, and a pretty, I would say, sizable reaction against the 50 period, which has started to slope back in a more trending structure. So we have a lot of moving average, I would say, confluence here. It's a little bit harder to analyze, but based on what Tesla has done and based on the fact that Tesla does have some upside potential to the top end of its trading range, if NIO starts to perform in this area and sort of hold these ranges, then that same upside could be seen here, probably with a more muted target, as Tesla would have to test its resistance first before NIO could really shine. So different companies, obviously not always correlated, but short term, I do see, you know, sort of a marketplace that is trying to correlate certain industries. And this is amidst the remainder of our large base sectors, all correlating to the downside in the short term. So maybe we can see that sort of upside correlation as well. And we just have to find candidates that may outperform in the case of a dead cat bounce. All right, so shifting over to our index ETFs, we'll start off with the IWM, and we'll just note that similar to past price history, we're seeing a lot of volatility throughout the trading range of IWM, leading into the low end of the trading range and a notable sharp volume and high price range reaction for the first time amidst the selling. So similar to this price action here, where we sort of hit mid-range, we hit value, and we got a couple of days of follow through, we're seeing that potential setup occur once again, but obviously at the low end of the range. As with all ranges, the potential for loss of this range is quite impactful if we were to start selling. But as we do have the daily 200, as we've come into this area more in an oversold condition, as the selling has been occurring in the IWM for about 2 weeks, the marketplace on a dead cat type bounce may have the IWM once again sort of give the most volatility and the most price range to take advantage of. We see high volume here. Once again, other index ETFs are closing weak. The IWM closing more in indecision. Little bit of, once again, short-term positioning here. Low risk to high reward if we do get a significant bounce. But as with any range that has been established here, we're basically just playing excess into balance and then vice versa. So with the IWM, we've seen a lot of balance at about 220 to 223. This volume profile is adjusted over time, but on a 4-hour, we're still looking at about 220 as the volume point of control for this trading range. And with any move away from this, we've seen that excess and that move away return to test balance. And basically, this has continued for multiple months with quite a few trading opportunities in between. So whether you're looking to take advantage of this in the short term, or even if it does facilitate a more notable bounce, this sort of risk to reward profile can be quite attractive if you're playing this trading range. So something to consider. Obviously, with economic slowdown and with the lack of growth, the IWM does have that sort of larger risk of, is this starting to become a bit too optimistic in this time frame, and does the IWM need to correct further before everything can stabilize? That obviously is the risk of trading near support zones like this. But short term, we do have oversold conditions, and this is something that has played out quite well a few times. NASDAQ and the Qs. Start with our overall trend. We have lost this trend line that has been set based on the previous swing lows, the breakout that occurred of previous all-time highs, and then the overextension of the QQQs. This relatively doubling of the range from high to low has been completed, and now we are seeing the trend be lost in the short term. Noting that this pullback so far has hit the 20, but we have not really closed in a strong position. We're actually closing below the 20 on the daily. We have the risk of coming to test the 50, which is areas of confluence and inflection based on the QQQ price history. And then on the weekly, we see how significant these pullbacks can be and how oftentimes in larger corrections, the 20 period is where this ETF comes to rest before it can see additional upside. So losing the trend in the short term, definitely more of a short term, I would say, risk off position, whether you've chosen to profit take or take advantage of some of this downside is based on your style as a trader. But the weekly is showing, that short-term correction look in the fact that we've closed weak, we've lost trend, and we are overextended on this time frame. So just understand that while we saw some volatility yesterday, this volatility may not be over, and the downside still has some potential based on previous corrections. And then finally, with our S&P 500, looking at the SPY, we have come down to test our 50 period. And in a similar fashion to the QQQs, this trend line here, which has been set based on pre-election lows. Forgive me, I'm getting my Epic pen up. Trying to get something to draw with. This low here, setting this trend line based on this swing low, and then testing it, maybe not exactly here, but definitely here, this third test confirming the strength of this trend line, we are starting to see this trend line crack slightly. Now, in the daily time frame, this may look like a pullback to the 50. We did see a reaction here. We also saw about 422 in the actual price levels of the SPY. This held very well in the afternoon session, leading to a bit of a short-term rally into the close, as shorts were not able to get follow through the 50. And we did see significant downside over the past couple sessions. But larger term, the fact that we are starting to see these trends break. Everything is once again at these inflection points in the market. And more than anything, the volume that we're seeing. I know we were looking at volume, not necessarily picking up until the close, but this closure, the fact that it's closing short-term weak, we're seeing this potential for a bounce. Let's get us back maybe to the 20 period. This potential of trend line loss. These are all things that we want to keep on watch, as with every pullback, the possibility of setting more significant highs in the market is always on the table. And what we're trying to avoid here is these setups where we have significant extension, large term correction to the 50, and then additional downside. Now, this additional downside, based on what we've seen in the past, has been obviously leading to new highs. But if you're a trader, the risk definition here is what's so important. And the fact that we only have one piece of information right now, the test of the 50, but we are losing trend. These are things that you want to start maybe putting pro and con lists together. Are we going to see upside? And how, I would say, aggressive are you going as a trader to take advantage of a bounce, if a bounce does occur? Where is your risk defined in the market? And if we see additional downside, where can you once again look for this opportunity to set up once again? Do you have to look at lower price levels? Do you have to look at previous balance zones based on volume profile? And where does the market tell you to consider the risk downside? You can see here something like volume profile could easily bring us back into this area of confluence, this trading range that took so long for the market to get out of. We have essentially given back all of this upside activity in a period of a few days. So these corrections are significant, they matter. And the fact that we're testing these areas also matters for how we move forward as traders. So keep all this in mind. Know that the tone of the market right now is in a more risk-off position. Bonds are still to the upside. Dollar is still to the upside. Volatility is still elevated. And for those who speak a little bit of option expected move, I've gone ahead and marked the SPX expected move for the week. If you look and just see that we're only trading in the Monday session, it's Tuesday today, but Monday, we have already tested the downside expected move for the week. So this market is volatile. This correction was significant in how fast it occurred and how much we have given back overall. But additionally, this may not be the end of it. This idea that markets have already expanded and looking for maybe additional value to the downside in the matter of one trading session. These are notable changes and the shift in the tone of the market. So let's see what we can take advantage of short term, but understand what our risk profile looks like and our risk definition is in the case of additional downside. So with that said, I'm Jared. This is Engineering the Market. Let's see what the market has for us today. Looks like a small gappers list overall, but we may have some additional volatility in those key names, and also some of the I would say the one-off sort of meme stock potential areas, those that have some additional upside. I think Wish, Alf, there's a few names that actually bucked the trend yesterday, so be looking for those names to continue. So trade safe. We'll talk more tomorrow. Stay tuned for pre-market prep with, I believe, Peter and Thor. We are actually, no, it might, I'm not sure who's on pre-market prep, so I'll just let it be at that, but stay tuned.
On screen over here, so it should be interesting. Okay. Jeff, you guys, Mike, you guys are on a first name basis there, I see. What's up, Peter?
Good morning, Norm. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, thanks.
We're adapting as we go. It's always a challenge when Carlos takes a vacation. It just shows how much we love and rely upon that man.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Hopefully you guys should be seeing our shared screen on YouTube. Welcome. You should also see two beautiful smiley faces in Norm and myself. And
yep, good to go, brother.
All right, good. Excellent. And hopefully they've got sound as well, as I just turned it all back on.
Everything's fine.
Excellent. Okay. Well, guys, fortunately we had Carlos yesterday who was able to take us through the open and give us his view on what was happening. I don't have his watch list, so I don't have that information to share with you. I could tell you yesterday, it's just interesting to me that I stayed with the basics. In fact, all of my trading yesterday was done on Apple. Sometimes, despite all the stuff in play, You know, it's it's good to trade those that you're familiar with. And Apple and AMD, as many of you know, in my case, are things that I like to trade. So I found plenty of opportunity on Apple as it was making some pretty good moves after it decided not to break 150. So so that was on my list yesterday, and pretty much what I watched. Norm, I'm not sure. Did you end up trading yesterday? I can't remember.
No, I did not.
Yeah, okay.
I hate those big gap down days. So I had a bunch of other things going on personally anyway that I had to take care of. So
yeah. So why don't we start by jumping right in, and let's take a look at the markets overall and see where things are going. I'll apologize to you up front, Norm. I did not have the opportunity to load up the calendar, but if we want to take a look at the calendar quickly.
Unnecessary. We've got building permits and housing starts.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yep.
Those just came off. Not huge, you know, so not really seeing any movement caused by that. Essentially, SPY's down a little bit. Once that was done, I don't know that that was a catalyst for that or anything. But, you know, Jarad did a good job of going through it. I won't beat a dead horse. Obviously, we had quite a down day yesterday. We're getting a little bit of a bounce this morning. We've given back a decent amount in the last 2 days. So, you know, the one thing I will say about it, and he may have, I just didn't hear him talk about it, you know, the summer months with lighter trading volumes and everything else. If you get volatility, if you get, I'm not going to call it a correction, but something that might be turning into a correction with the lower volumes, you're naturally going to have more volatility and potentially bigger moves. So it's just kind of how it goes. We'll see how it turns out.
Yes, indeed. So, guys, we have our normal watch list that we are looking at in the mornings. So let me go back to the right screen here. The other thing is we are starting into earnings. You may notice last week we had some of the banks that started to announce. Today we've got a number of earnings. I'm surprised. I don't really see any of them on our watch list so far.
Nothing great.
Yeah. The only thing, Philip Morris is the only one I see in this list that I might take a look at, but it generally doesn't trade well at all. But I noticed their numbers seem oddly out of whack. I don't know, Norm, if you looked at it. I was looking at this revenue, and their estimate was $7 billion, and they had $20 billion. That seems odd. So I thought maybe something was going on there. But other than that.
I don't know if that's a mistake or they had a one-time charge. It's possible. It's not something I'm going to touch as a intraday move, or I'm not going to buy tobacco companies. So didn't even care to look at it, my man.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So yeah, it generally doesn't trade well, you guys. You can tell by looking at the daily here.
That's a typo on the earnings whispers page or something, because Benzinga has it at 7.59 revenues. That's an error.
Right. Okay. Well, that makes more sense then, because it's very unusual that a company, especially of that size, could double their revenue magically, almost triple it. So, as I said, Philip Morris, if you look, you can see this daily action does not look good at all, so it doesn't give me any reason that I'd want to be taking a peek at it. So I'm just going to take that off right away. So let's take a look at what we do have on the gappers list this morning. I'll start with the one that seems to be gapping up the most with an amazing 43% increase here, IMNM. I'm going to trip over saying that all morning, I'm sure. IMNM. The daily looks like it was on a general downtrend until today, so there's got to be some news.
Yeah, just keep in mind 9 million share float here, up 44-ish%. This is a biotech that has a therapy. It's an antibody cocktail that they say showed to neutralize the COVID Delta variant in preclinical testing. So,
okay. Well, that's all in the news. As the markets yesterday were reportedly going down because of concern over the variants, this is very timely. It's amazing how these things happen in this timely fashion. Think they were planning that? Anyways, all right, we'll keep it on our list one way or the other, as it definitely looks like it's moving. Pre-market action looks fairly steady, so I like the look of that. So we'll see what happens. Next on my list, I've got two of the Chinese educational stocks in TAL and EDU. I have to admit, I don't think I've ever traded these. They jump up on the list every once in a while. They often have good volume. Both of them have over 1 million shares.
You've got three of them because GoTo is as well.
GoTo is also okay. There you go. So we got 3 in a row here, all up.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yep. And lower down the list, you got CPOP, which is also Chinese. Similar. All those, I have not seen a headline. I don't like trading these, as you mentioned. I'm guessing there's something having to do with Chinese regulation because that's what's put the smackdown on these since mid-March.
Yeah. So of them all, I mean, right now, TAL looks the best. I guess it usually is sort of the best of them, but even so, I said I wouldn't trade them, but I'll keep TAL on the list. I'll just get rid of the others so that we're not watching too many things, and we'll come back to it and maybe set some levels if it's still active. CCIV,
thank you, Nathan. Sorry, thank you, Nathan. Very nice. Appreciate the super chat. Oh, sorry, we can't put you on the screen. We don't have the technology running for the next couple of days with Carlos out, but much appreciated.
Yeah, look at that. Well, thank you, Nathan. Yeah, the super chat donation, that's fantastic. I appreciate it. I like the, I don't know what that is. What is it? Are we like a pear or a lima bean or something? That's doing some workouts there. Anyways, all right. CCIV, back to our list. You know, it keeps popping up the list. We have to remember, this is a SPAC. It's traded fairly normally. Oh, by the way, a SPAC, Special Purpose Acquisition Company. So its job is to invest in other companies. It's basically a money pool that allows it to sometimes acquire companies. Other times they just create directed investment. But it has traded well in the past, but again, not one I typically look at. Pre-market action doesn't look fantastic. The daily doesn't look bad, though. I assume this is just moving because it's moving, and there's no particular news on it.
I haven't seen anything special.
Let me there's some that have jumped up on our list. MRIN seems to be back on our list today. It was active last week with some news, and they seem to be back this morning. You can see, look at this movement up and down that little pyramid on the daily chart. But today the pre-market action looks horrible.
Yep. Agreed.
Not liking the look of that. Next on my
9 million share float. You got to have more volume, better pre-market than you do there.
Yeah, absolutely. Next on the list is HAL. So this is Halliburton. Again, another one that doesn't typically trade well. They barely are over our limit here at just 105,000 shares. So to make our gappers list, it has to have at least 100,000 shares in volume. It's, you know, pre-market is very spotty. So those 100,000 must have come in a couple of bulk orders because really I'm seeing absolutely no pre-market activity. So it does not look interesting to me at all at this point. PBF Energy. It sounds familiar, but I don't know that I've ever traded it. So they're up 3%, 300,000 shares. Once again, pre-market looks terrible. Unless you tell me there's some exciting news, Norm, I'm going to delete it.
Yep, trash.
All right, gone. So interesting on my list here, I have a couple that have jumped up since I created my initial list. Let's take a look at IBM. Rare for IBM to be showing some volume. Ugh, this action does not look good, though. So one of the things that we look for is I like to have consistent candles in the morning, but you also want it to be sort of directional. This type of action right here, when I see these candles that are in a very tight, 10, 20 cent range, sometimes a 1 to 2 cent range, this to me looks like computer-based trading, right? Algos that are just trading shares back and forth. While IBM's got 187,000 shares and it's gapping up by about 2.8%, again, unless there's some big news, I'm not likely to.
Had earnings last night, but once again, it trades terribly and it's trash.
Yeah. So no big news happening on IBM that you see, Norm?
They had earnings last night.
Oh,
so that's what's popping.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, okay. But that doesn't mean it's worthwhile to trade.
Right. Yeah, IBM.
It's IBM.
It's very rare that it'll trade well. I have traded it. I'll tell you that in the past, but not often. So we'll just keep moving here on the list. Next, I've got Wish. Wish, was a meme stock. It was trading with the Wall Street bets for a while. Pre-market does not look good. It's only up 2%, 350,000 shares so far this morning. I personally don't like the look of it at all. So I'll get rid of that. I put it earlier this morning. I had CCL and NCLH that were on my list, so I thought something was going to happen with them. So I added them, but I noticed they've dropped now both below the 2% mark, which is again a requirement for it to be on our gappers. Pre-market action has not picked up. In fact, it's sort of just stayed relatively low but they do have, well, sir, CCL here does have 770,000 shares. It's been on this steady downtrend you can see here for a month now. Normal is, unless there's some specific news on the cruise line industry. I don't know why they're moving.
I just think they're getting a bounce after the big drop yesterday.
Okay, and that could be a good guess, because they did drop pretty significantly yesterday. Well, I shouldn't even just say yesterday. Really, it was over the last couple of days, as you can see, with these big candles. On Friday, they had a big down day as well. So I might leave right now. I'll just leave CCL on my list because it might be worth setting levels against. But that's about it. All right. This other one, again, I put CGOC on my list. I notice it's moved up with a bigger gap, so it's jumped up here in the last few minutes, now gapping up 7% with almost 500,000 shares traded. Seems to be getting a little momentum. Is there some, I don't know if there's anything happening with CGOC, Norm, or is this just it?
It's been wild recently. I see nothing.
Yeah. CGOC, if you remember,
it's been in play for the last several days or a week. So.
Yeah, it was actually about a week ago that you can see we had a couple of, well, really what I should do is circle. There was three big days that happened, and then it sort of flattened out and made it hard to trade. So I remember watching it over those 3 days. I think I may have traded at one of those three. I don't know. I mean, it could be in play today. Right now, the pre-market action isn't fantastic, but this volume has picked up, as you can see over the last few minutes. So I'll keep it on my list, because if this continues and this price action continues, it might be worth watching. So I'll just leave it there for now. Last on my gapping up list for the moment is FCell, up 2%, 100,000 shares. Again, barely squeaking onto the list. Doesn't look good. So I'm going to get rid of that. All right, let's look at what's gapping down. I have on this list AHPI, not a familiar ticker at all. Allied Health Products. Don't know what that is. Pre-market does not look good. It is gapping down 15%. I don't really like the look of this daily.
3 million share float. They produce medical devices, respiratory products. Not seeing any news, but it just popped up and just started moving, so maybe I just don't have it yet.
Yeah. Okay, well, look, I'm going to add it on here for the moment. Maybe this is one that's just starting to move. We'll see.
Like I said, keep in mind it's got a 3 million share float, and it's traded just about 100,000 shares this morning. It's got a 15%. Excuse me, it's got a 2% spread, 15 cents on a $7 stock. I just keep it on there and see if it does anything, but heavy warning. I won't touch this unless things drastically change on it.
Yeah, it's good advice, guys. Keep in mind, low float stocks, the reason why we tell you all the time that we're always apprehensive about the low float stocks is that they just tend to be more erratic, right? They tend to have big spreads for the low price, and when they move, yeah, they could move great. And if you're on the right side of it, you could be very happy. But you could also blow your risk controls out of the water, because they can move just as fast against you. And that's why you've got to be very careful on the low float stocks. So be cautious if you choose to focus on one of them and decide to trade them at any day. All right, next on my list, speaking of low float, I've got two more that are very low float here. Looks like they're both around 2 million shares in the float. MTSL gapping down 7.5%. Again, pre-market action doesn't look good on this one either, right? When I say not good, by the way, it's when I see these candles where you have like no volume, like there's just nothing happening. I don't like that. I want to see consistent sort of movement on the candles. Not getting that from MTSL, so I don't like the look of that.
It looks trash.
And NRXP looks just the same, right? Even worse. So nothing much going on there. I'm going to take them off my list, in fact. Rocket RKT. Now, it was one that we were watching, quite a while ago. I haven't looked at it in a while. Pre-market action is not much happening. Again, once again, look at this very flat action, many minutes with nothing happening on it. So, not much to write home about there, unless it's got some big exciting news. I'm going to ignore it. I've got Mara on my list, M-A-R-A. Now, this is Marathon Digital Holdings. So this is sort of like a SPAC company that, again, we've often traded it like a stock. It looks a little better pre-market, but not great. So I'm giving pause in case Norm says, but Peter, there's some fantastic news on it.
Trash.
There you go. So there's the adjudication. All right. Grub is back on our list for this morning, gapping down 3% with 100,000 shares. Again, wow, this daily looks absolutely horrid. Look at the last time it gapped here. I mean, like gap down, and then it did absolutely
nothing. That's a split,
nothing.
I believe, Peter.
Sorry?
Are you sure that's not a split?
Oh, maybe. But even after the split, my point would be it did nothing. Like, look at this. It was such a day with low volume. You got no sort of action out of it. So that doesn't give me any hope that no matter what's happening today, why would I expect it to look any different than all of these days when it essentially did nothing?
And it's a foreign company which trades like garbage and has very, doesn't really move very much either. So
yeah, agreed. So last I'll take a look at here then is Riot. Riot blockchain has been one that we've traded in the past. It tends to move with the cryptocurrency market. Gapping down this morning, again, doesn't look very exciting to me at all. So, delete it. So, what good? That's relatively good. That gives me a fairly short list. Let's pull up a couple that I know have been moving over the last few days that I've been watching, and we'll see if they're looking good so far this morning. So here we go. Apple has been one that definitely has been on the move the last few days. A couple of days ago, it looked like it was going to break $150 in price. Never could, and it sort of moved off that level and then just sort of dropped. It had a good trading day yesterday, but honestly, I'm expecting that to even out and start to trade a little bit worse. So I don't know that it's actually going to be much fun today, but it always has volume, so sometimes can be worth watching. AMD, sort of a similar story. Around that same time frame, it looked like it was going to make the run for 100 that I've been waiting for 6 months on this, and it fell off of that level and has sort of been trading down. I like trading AMD normally, but the last few days I haven't found much opportunity in it, so it hasn't really been good, and it doesn't look, there's nothing much going for it so far this morning. Now, AMC, on the other hand, has been trading well over the last little while. Already 1 million shares traded. The gap is only about 2%, which is why it wouldn't have previously made our list. I see it's on the bottom of our gappers list right now. It's always a good one to set levels at. I find it tough to trade. Jarad is our expert on trading AMC. I'm not sure how he always seems to find opportunity in it, but it does move, so it can give you opportunity. Space has been yeah, Chris is pointing out I do have those lower back tattoo on AMD, so if I stop trading it, what am I going to do? Anyways, Space SPCE obviously had the news with the weekend. It was a sell the news event because over the weekend when they sort of launched Branson and of course his crew into space, the stock just started to sell off the Monday and for all of last week, and here we are still on a little bit of a downtrend. So will it be a mover today or not? Maybe. Obviously, as the only traded spacefaring company with the launch of Amazon's Blue Origin. You know, they may get some movement, but I don't know. I might keep an eye on it, but I'm not holding out high hope. Tesla has been moving, so I just put it on here. It doesn't look great this morning, though, so I don't see much going for Tesla, frankly. Don't like it. And the last I have is NVIDIA. So look at NVIDIA's price. Yesterday, it was trading around $800 or just below, right? 780-ish, if I remember. So today is the morning where they went for the 4-for-1 stock split. So all of our prices have been adjusted. This is going to be the first day of NVIDIA trading back at its adjusted split price. So it may get some action as a result of that as people readjust positions. But so far this morning, not moving much, right? It's only down 0.8%. We do have a little volume, though, 1.3 million shares. And that's, of course, because of that split. So it might be worth setting some levels and see what happens on NVIDIA this morning. All right, with that, help me out. Anything in the room that you guys want to look at, or from our friends on YouTube? First one I saw, somebody called out mRNA. It's certainly been on an uptrend the last few days. Looks like yesterday it actually had some good action, or at least it had some good movement on the daily. This morning it doesn't look like it's doing much of excitement, up 0.6% with 300,000 shares. That might be interesting, but I don't see much on it right now. Not many levels to set as it's, yeah, I think it's at all-time highs here, so it might be worth the watch. Not much for us to do with it. How about on YouTube? What do we got? Anything you guys want to look at? Rick. Well, that's a new one. RCI Hospitals. For some reason, I'm not getting a lot of details on Rick. Let me just load it up again here. Is this... It's not a recent IPO. The pre-market action looks terrible on RICK. For whatever reason, I'm not even getting any volume on it. So I'm not sure why that is, but for that reason alone, I don't like it. Neo actually has been one that has been moving fairly well. I see that Diamond Sunshine, love the name. You're calling that out on YouTube. You know, 400,000 shares. It consistently has some volume. You know, you have to watch it for a long time to find opportunity. I actually did trade Neo into the close yesterday, so I can't complain about it. I did get an opportunity off the high of day that they gave me a trade. So perhaps I should, you know, for that alone, give Neo an opportunity to let me set some levels on it. All right, what else have we got? I'll do one more that you guys are calling out. I've got to do Beyond since I see it here. Oh, goodness. Why did I bother? Beyond looks horrible. Looks as bad as its products. Should I say that? Probably not. Anyways.
I agree with you.
I
agree with you, but enjoy its hate. Enjoy the hate mail you receive for staying that state.
Yeah, I know. You know, it's funny. Like, I look at them. I've looked at them in the store and said, maybe I should try it. And then I just look at it. I'm like, I can't do it.
No,
like,
you shouldn't.
They just don't look appetizing to me. I'll give you that. Anyways,
if you want to eat something vegetarian, eat a black bean burger. Those are good.
Yeah, there are vegetarian options out there that are great.
Yeah,
I just don't find those the ones I want.
Just eat vegetables. Just eat,
exactly.
Vegetable
All right, guys.
sandwich.
With that, we will set some levels in a minute here. But first, we've got our usual announcements. Why don't we take a look at that? And go to some announcements here. Norm can tell us what's happening in BBT land.
All right, next page, brother.
Oh, sorry. Whoops. There we go.
There we go. All right, tonight, 8 p.m., you've got John talking about probabilistic thinking and trading. Should be an excellent webinar. Come check that out this evening at the normal time, 8 p.m. The next week, Peter, right there, helping us out when the pre-market show, is going to be doing a webinar on picking the right share size for you. This is especially important if you're newer in trading. Peter does an excellent job breaking this down, discussing it. So that'll be next Tuesday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Then tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Nada, our mindfulness expert will be talking about stress in trading, accepting it, and how to respond to it, deal with it. Then next week, Wednesday, 8 p.m. is going to be Dr. Katz. He's going to have a town hall format where he'll have 2 traders from the class, from the chat, 2 members, and they will have just an open discussion about the trading journey and everything else. He'll moderate it. You'll have be able to ask some questions, everything else. Great format. Looking forward to that one as well. If you want to participate in Member Trade of the Day, Trade of the Week, take a screenshot of your best trade with entries and exits, of course, and put any commentary you can to describe the trade. Post it on Twitter, tag at BearbullTraders, at MikeB_BBT, and at NormBBT. Also use the hashtags BBT Family, Day Trading, and Stock Market. We'll pick a winner for each day. It'll be announced on Twitter and in the room in the afternoon. And then all the trades of the day will be voted on by the team over the weekend, and the winner of Trade of the Week will be announced the following Monday. If you're watching on YouTube, haven't been in the chat, use the promo code PREMARKET24. It'll get you access to the onboarding classes that we have every Monday night, 8 p.m. live. Also, it gives you 7 calendar days in the room, 5 trading days, unless there's a market holiday, which we don't have one anytime soon. Doesn't auto-renew or turn into anything else. Here's a new promotion. We have not done this before, guys. So if you are a basic member, you're not a member of BBT, and you're curious what all the webinars are about that we offer to the elite membership tier, you can use the promo code OPTIONS50, and I'll get into why that's named that in a moment. That'll get you 50% off the first month of a monthly elite membership. That's the same cost as the basic. So you can try all that stuff out essentially for the same cost as the basic. It does go back to the normal price after the first month. If you don't feel that it's worth it, you can change your membership, just keep it basic or cancel it. And the options 50. So we are starting to launch, and we've talked about this, Andrew, myself, the team. We've all discussed this for quite some time. We are going to start launching our options segment in Bear Bull Traders. So we've got a number of modules planned. We've got a number of them already recorded and ready to go. They should have that access up very soon in the next, if not today, next few days. Yeah, so there you go.
I love the fact that we're adding the options. We've got, guys, always more and more stuff that are coming into the room to just add value for everybody. So thank you very much, Norm, for that. And let's go back to our stocks here, and let's set some levels for this morning. So I've got a lot that I still have on my list here. We'll start at the top of what we were looking at here with IMNM. Now, when I set levels, there's 2 areas that personally I look at, and just for a brief review, since I haven't been on in a while. In the morning, often stocks will show you this type of candle. IMNM happens to have a perfect example of it right here. Right at 8 a.m., you get a settlement of some accounts, and we call it the tin foil line. Just because it was sort of an inside joke at one point, but it just ended up becoming the name for it. Where sometimes stocks will that sets a range that a stock will play in. Notice this candle, the wicks of this candle. It's very small body, big wicks that show the limit of where these settlement accounts were happening, right? And you had it on big volume. That seems to be something that happens a lot, where it happens on the big volume. But look what happens. When I set a level at the top, the price happens to be right now, right at the top of that candle. And you can see how many times, right, when it actually has touched that level so far this morning. So, you know, to me, there's some significance to it. I will mark that on the daily, and then, on the 1 minute chart, so within the day. And then we'll go to the daily chart, and we'll take a look at where there's any relevant daily levels, and we will set those up as well. On IMNM, I'm certainly seeing this high back here at 23.57 is one that is relevant, so I'll set a level there. I'd also want to set one at the peak over here at 1866. Other than that, this is a pretty flat chart. So the highs and lows of the previous 2 days, which I have automatically marked, you can see those red dashed lines here. I'll leave those marked. The only other level that I want to set would probably be this one right down here at around 16 1/4. So that gives me some ranges to play within on IMNM. TAL I left on the list. It frankly doesn't look much better. The pre-market action has flattened out here, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it other than to set a couple of really quick levels, probably one at the top here at 2260, one here at 2640. Because that also is the high of where this peaked here back at the end of June, but I also see it's where this gap happened, so I'm also going to mark the top of this gap because I do like gap areas. Sometimes stocks rush to fill gaps, which would be about 28, yeah, 2830 on that one, so I'll put a level right there. CCIV, as I mentioned, not a favorite of mine. Again, pre-market hasn't started to get better. You can see I've already got some of these tinfoil lines. They're the yellow lines on my chart that I had previously marked. So I'm just going to get rid of all of that. We'll set some levels on CCIV. Highs and lows of the previous 2 days does give us a range around where the price is currently sitting now. If this thing really does start to move, 2730 looks like an area it might hit. Other than that, I'm going to go back here to around $22 where the 2205 where the low of this day here on June the 16th was. But other than that, nothing else I'll mark. IBM, like we mentioned, not often a great trader. It is up 2% with 300,000 shares. If you're going to watch it, I would certainly take a look at the low here, 143.04. Let me set that level exactly at 143.04. Did I do that properly? I did not. 1 second. 143.04. There we go. And then certainly where it had sort of a flat top here around 147.30, I will put a level right there. So that's probably it, other than, once again, highs and lows of the previous 2 days on IBM. CCL, like we said, wow, what a downtrend, right? It's been steadily going down. So I'm going to go back in time and take a look. I'm going to mark this tinfoil line, like I'd mentioned, on CCL. In fact, let me just jump back. See, IBM didn't really put in a great one, so I'm not going to bother here. On CCL, though, I will mark that. And as you can see, I had some previous ones that are marked well above the price action, so I'll just leave them for the moment. But CCL, if it continues to, it's gapping up this morning, but if it goes down, I definitely want to be watching this area down here. I want to watch this area as well. Now, notice that the yesterday's low happens to coincide again with this gap that happened way back in December, November, December of last year. You can see over on this part of my chart. So that will definitely be an area to watch. So I've got a couple of levels there that I can keep an eye on it. And if it does happen to gap up, well, I've got 2 days ago low that is an area to watch, which also gives me a good support level. So that'll be good for CCL. SGOC, like we mentioned, it was really over about a week and a half ago where it had these big days that really moved. Then it's been moving slowly sideways, up 6% this morning. Pre-market doesn't look bad, but I doubt this is definitely not going to make my target list. If I was going to set a level anywhere, I would certainly put one right here at the high of this candle, so that's right at 17. Let me make sure that level is set at 17 so I can keep an eye on that. My settlement candle here at 8 a.m. I do see that I had some volume, so I'm actually going to do the high of this one and the low of this one, just in case that happens to set a range. Notice the high of this candle at 8 o'clock sets the low area here where pre-market we've been sort of bouncing off of, so we'll see what happens with SGOC. All right, now on the ones that were gapping down, AHPI, remember that is a low float. Pre-market action doesn't look great at all. Frankly, I don't think this is one that I would have any remote interest in playing. Highs and lows of the previous 2 days are already set here for me. You know what? Maybe there's a level down here that I could set at 485. But I don't like the look of this stock, so I'm not going to be playing it. All right, so Mara. Again, pre-market doesn't look great. You notice I already have a daily set at 39.68. Other than that, I might set a low here at, what is this, 18.30. So I will just mark that. But I'm not that excited in it. All right, so those that are our regular everyday trenders that weren't on our gappers list, but I said we would look at, you can see I had some tinfoil lines from previous days. So I'm just going to remove all my lines on the chart. Let's set some new ones. I'm going to set this tinfoil line for today. Once again, big volume, small body, big wicks, right? That may prove to be a range. We'll see. Highs and lows of the previous 2 days set a range here. Right now, it's looking like Apple's setting up maybe to be an inside day. We'll see. There is a gap, though, between Friday and this morning that we could work into. If so, then I'll certainly be watching for this to push up towards 146. If it does go lower, I'll mark the low of this candle here is at 140.66, I see. So let me just set that level a little more specifically. There we go. And I'll leave that. AMD again doesn't look great pre-market. I've already got some highs set for some previous levels that I was keeping an eye on here. You see at 94.22 and 95.70. So I will just continue to put an eyeball to those. And other than that, AMD also is looking like maybe it's setting up for some sort of inside day. So, oh, I just lost my scanner screen. So we'll see what happens. My desktop is peeking through. I know my scanner's shut down on me. So, all right. So there you go. So we'll leave that for AMD. Yeah, I don't know if AMD is going to break out of this range today. I'll keep an eye on it. I do have the tattoo. I can't abandon it yet, but it hasn't been trading well for me the last few days. AMC has been looking good. It looks good again this morning. I mean, 1.4 million shares. It is moving in a little bit of a consolidation on the daily here. So highs and lows of the previous 2 days once again give me levels that I can play with. I would mark this, the low here, 39.70. I will set 39.70. I will set that on the daily in case we get a hit on that. If this thing moves lower, I do have a previous daily level, 29.76, that probably goes back to, I don't know why I set this. Why did I set this one? I don't know. Being that I don't know, I'm going to get rid of it. Yeah, I don't really have anything else that's good on the low for AMC. So we'll see what happens with it. I mean, the general trend is down, but it's consolidating. Is this setting up just a little bit of a rest period before it drops lower? I don't know. So we'll watch AMC and see what happens. Space, like we mentioned, SPCE could move on a sympathetic move based on the launch from Blue Origin. I've got some daily levels up higher here. You can see all those on my chart. I also have a ton of previous tinfoil lines, so I'll get rid of those. Let's see. At 8 a.m., you know, it wasn't a great candle here. I will mark it anyways, just in case. I can see that it came and used that as resistance, but it's been trending below that settlement area on space, so that tells me it might be thinking of going down today. As I mentioned, I like gap areas, so let me set the high and low of this gap that happened back in May. Other than that, you know what? I think I will just put a level here around 38.60 because that's the high it hit here back on June the 9th, and we'll see what happens with space. Tesla, you know, a lot of these things are looking like inside, well, they're not really inside days to yesterday. An inside day, by the way, is when the stock price plays within the body of the candle of the previous day. Tesla is gapping up above where it closed yesterday, but it's still within this price action. So, you know, pre-market, it's not moving with any particular urgency, so I don't really see a lot going on Tesla. Not really lots to call home about. Again, gapping area, I will mark the high and low of that gap. Notice that the high of 2 days ago exactly matches the low of this gap here back in June. So that's an area worth keeping an eye on at 657. So we'll see if Tesla gets any momentum today. NVIDIA, like we mentioned, it does have news with it being post-split, a 4-for-1 split as a reminder. It doesn't necessarily mean NVIDIA is going to move, but it might be worth keeping an eye on just in case it does. I will set my levels on the tinfoil line here, like I've been talking about, right? Highs and lows of that candle. And then on the daily, what might it do? Well, let's see. We had a spike up here to 193.75. Remember, that was actually done pre-split, so it was doing it in the $700 range. 190. 75 right there. And then we've got the high 208.75. So that's when it was venturing above $800 at the time. So we'll see. We'll see if NVIDIA gets any momentum. I don't know what to expect of it. You know, my experience with post-split stocks is that sort of anything goes, right? You often get volume, but it doesn't mean you get momentum or directional movement from that. So we'll see what happens. The volume's proving out with 1.5 million shares traded so far, but it's not really going in any direction, right? We're seeing a lot of, it's really just sort of moving sideways so far pre-market. So that may continue after the open or not. We'll find out. All right, last I'd marked here on my list was NEO. Again, NEO, just because I had a good closing trade on it, we might keep an eye on it to see what it does today. I can see that I've got my tinfoil line marked. I've got a previous, this must be from a while back. So let me remove and remove, get rid of those two lines. I will set a daily level. I like to watch where things peaked. So I'm going to set levels here, 47 and 48.25 respectively here on those two. We'll see what happens. Highs and lows of the previous 2 days are already set for me. So that's good levels on NEO. All right, so that's what I had on my list. For me, I'm probably going to go back to the basics, to be honest. I will take a look. I'm going to watch Apple. I'm definitely going to keep an eye on NVIDIA just in case it does something. I will look at Space, AMD, and AMC. So I'll probably stick with my old favorites just to see what happens. The only one I like off of the gappers list so far is IMNM. I don't love the pre-market action because it is largely moving sideways, but it is still gapping up 35%. So I'll just keep an eye on it in case it decides to get some momentum. If not, then I will quickly push it to the side and we'll see what happens. With that, I'm obviously then going to also be watching our gappers list, which we put for you in the room using Trade Idea scanners, and we'll see if anything jumps up on that. And of course, you know, I love it when our members call things out. Our members give us great call outs every single day, and that often gives me things to trade that I can look at. So with that, the last thing I have to do for you this morning is to take a quick look at our moderators and see what they're trading. So I will, I'm giving you like infinitum views here. So let me just try and get rid of that. It's still happening. It's the inception. All right, you're gonna have to deal with inception on my picture. So sorry about that. But let's take a look at what our moderators are looking at. So Thor on his watch list is looking at the SPY overall. CCL, Apple, and NEO. His backup or secondary list is NVIDIA and SPCE. Eamon's not liking anything today, so he's going to take a day off. Now, Eamon trades very differently, but he's got a very strict criteria, and I respect him for saying nothing is setting up, it's not meeting his criteria, so he's not going to force it, right? He's just going to take a day off and maybe watch the markets, maybe focus on other things. Nothing wrong with doing that, right? If you're not seeing a setup, don't force your trades. That's usually a way to give money away to the market as opposed to you know, sitting back, trading maturely, and sticking to your rules. Mike is going to continue to watch the break of high day scanner with a specific eye on NVIDIA, Peloton, and mRNA. Now, Peloton's one that I didn't take a look at. Let's take a look and see if Peloton is doing anything this morning. It's got a little bit of momentum here, 290,000 shares. It is gapping up 6%. It might be a mover. It's good to the top side. I can see why Mike's looking at it when he likes high of day breaks. So that makes sense. Tiffany is going to be watching for things that are called out in the room. Like I said, right? Our traders often give us the best call outs just by the stuff that they're calling out. But she will keep an eye on Apple, IBM, IMNM, SPCE, and NVIDIA. Great list and similar to sort of what I was watching, so I like it. And Brian is going to be watching Apple, TAL, CCL, and IBM plus scanners. Now, I'm surprised Brian, he doesn't have a low float. He normally has one low float just for fun that he throws in there, but probably hasn't seen anything that he likes so far this morning. So with that, that's what our moderators have posted so far. Thanks a lot, guys. As we mentioned, Carlos is off for the rest of this week taking a well-deserved break. I appreciate the fact that everything he does in the morning, as you can see by the quality of our broadcast, it just slides when Carlos isn't here. So thanks for working with us. I guess we'll stick around here, and we'll do a little bit of live trading with you. For those on YouTube, like I mentioned, it may be a little rougher than you're used to, but I will try and keep a screen up here just for the first few minutes of the live market. Hopefully you'll look to join us in the room where everything does generally run pretty smoothly and you can be full part of the conversation. So like Norm mentioned earlier, we'd love to have you. We have some discount codes that you can use to give yourself just a trial. See what it's like. Join us and see how it goes. And that's my alarm to tell me we only have 10 minutes till the market opens. So it's time to go. Take care, everybody, and we will talk to you again tomorrow morning on YouTube. And in the room, I will talk to all of you this afternoon when I'm back on the microphone. Later, everybody.
Good morning, Peter.
Good morning, Brian. Oh,
and good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Brian.
I take it we're not doing the YouTube thing this morning.
Well, I was going to try to see what I could get going for our friends over on YouTube, but it may take me a minute to figure it out because I didn't have anything set up for them. So let's see.
Okay, well, don't worry about it. Apple's dropping. Qs are dropping. Huh. Interesting. Okay, well, as Eamon pointed out, there's not a lot of interesting stuff happening this morning. At least I'm not seeing anything that really gets me excited yet. But as we know, it's wait long enough, we'll maybe find something. But again, this typical sort of summer trading day. Exactly, yeah. So AMD's kind of looking interesting. It's popping up again today a little bit. I have a feeling we're going to sell off at the open. We're already sort of heading that direction. Look, Q's dropped and then bounced back. That was kind of a weird move. Oxy's flat right now. Space is really choppy. I lost money on that first space trade yesterday, so I'm not going to jump into that one for sure. Yeah, CCL's not looking. CCL kind of looks weak with NH and with NCLH. IBM had, I guess, a good earnings report. They're gapping up here. Going to kind of watch them. Maybe see if I can see an opportunity to sell some upside calls if they get a little toppy today. Yeah, CCOG does kind of look interesting. I was thinking of putting that up there for my low float CGOC, or SGOC, I should say. XLF and XLE are both flat. So nothing happening with the energy sector. What's TLT doing? TLT is up, means that yields are down again today. Yeah, look at IMNM, MNIM kind of looks interesting.
It's funny. The first time I said it, Brian, I said, I am going to trip over that all day. I'm pretty confident of it. So
yeah.
So yes, I think calling it is probably just fine.
Yeah, MNIM. I think I'm going to go with double M. Let's go with we'll go with double M. M&M. Yeah. Yeah, there you go. I like that, Jared. Yeah, we're going with the double M. Huh. I don't know what.
Throwing up a few charts Indeed. For our friends on YouTube, by the way. That's so you can sort of see some of the stuff we're watching. You will not see our Teams Alive trades here, but hopefully, actually, one of the, I should put up here is NVIDIA. So let me put NVIDIA down here. Want to keep an eye on it. And Thor, feel free to join and take us to the open. You're a much better open trader than I am, so I'm sure people get more value out of you.
NVIDIA, yeah, I'm still moving stuff around here. I'm still not too keen with on anything here, but SPY looks like it's going to go red on the day.
Hey, what's going on, Peter?
Hey, Thor. How's it going?
Brian, what's going on, buddy?
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Vietnam.
Things are looking a little interesting for me today, for sure. I'm kind of watching NVIDIA just because you rarely get to see what happens after a split, so I don't know if I'll trade it, but I'm definitely going to watch it. But CC main pick for right now. We've got this really heavy ladder to the downside near a big value area. I'm going to see if it slams down into here, and then we'll see what happens. But otherwise, everything I'm looking at is in the central part of the pivot ranges, which means I really don't have very many trades on them. So I'm going to actually probably end up waiting maybe 15 minutes, half hour, while the market kind of squeezes, drops, whatever it's going to do, and then start making some decisions.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad idea. Yeah, we had a big down day yesterday, so we're getting a bit of a pop today. It's kind of what I figured was going to happen. We were talking about that into the close. Kind of figured we were going to get a pop. We might actually get a bit of a squeeze today after maybe an initial little drop here. So TAL still looks kind of interesting, although nothing's really... Yeah, everything's kind of choppy right now. Apple popped up and then it's popped and dropped. Yeah, so I think it's going to be a pretty choppy open. So yeah, best just to wait for things to settle out a little bit. AHPI, I think, did a split as well. Or no, maybe they did a consolidation. I remember this one from something, but it's it looks like it's setting up for a nice short, but I don't have any shorts available, so that's kind of screwed there. Yeah, so I definitely think it's going to be one of these mornings where I just have to watch the scanners more closely. So
on
let's
YouTube,
throw.
Homer Simpson's with us, and he's mentioning AEHR. AEHR. Well, 20 million floats, not super low float, but they've got some new business that seems to be driving them. They actually look pretty good pre-market here. Only 11% gap, 7.2 million shares though. I don't mind the look of that. I might keep an eye on it.
Man, I was really hoping it would be a bad stock so I could go dope, you know, and like do a little. But it actually doesn't look too bad.
The problem I've got with it, it's the time and sales not that great. Okay, IBM's popping. Ooh, Space is dropping. CCL dropping. Apple breaking out here. Big reversal on Space. IBM's moving up here.
That big order on CCL pull?
I don't know.
Yep. That's not very nice.
Seeing what Apple's going to do here. It's right at the yesterday's high. Towel's going to break out here. I think Tal has got a pretty big float that's short, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow, AMD dropping.
No, not really. Not chasing anything yet. CCL looks weak. CCL just went red on the day. Apple's dropping, yeah. SPY's dropping. Still no trades for me. I'm not keen on anything. Actually, I'm just I'm going to short some CCL here. SPY's kind of dropping. It looks like the SPY is going to go red here. All right, here we go with CCL. Covered a bit there at 1969. Yeah, SPY's going to go red maybe. CCL's right at yesterday's close, so it's kind of hanging around here. It's right at an S3 level too. Space bounced off.
Bid's still looking a little heavy to the downside on CCL, so I'm not sure if it's ready yet for it to reverse, but it is holding S3.
Yeah, there's a big bid at 66. There we go. Lost that. Good one. Piton's breaking up again. AMC is popping. It's funny.
I was ready to go short CCL, but I missed the entry. I didn't want to chase it. If I could get 1975, I was going to take it, but now I'm not so sure. The bids that,
yeah, it just seems to be holding.
Yeah, there's a lot of bids on the downside.
Yeah.
Apple had a big...
Yeah, there's a big bid at 55.
AMC shooting up.
Yeah, it's popping. Yeah, mRNA again is popping up on the scanner. Well, SCOG's a dog's breakfast. Got SCOG.
CCLs.
Yeah, CCL's.
All right, I'm long CCL from 1968 or 1970. A little partial at 1985. If it holds, great. If it stuffs, I'm out.
Yeah, I'm out of the rest of my CCL trade.
Oh, Thor, look at you going against the level 2.
Yeah. Yeah, it looks like it's going to squeeze down
Partial.
right at the VWAP.
There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. Pow.
Nice.
That was good. All right, partial just under 20. Now I'm holding on. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, nice. I should have flipped my position there the way it was holding that S3 level.
Yeah, S3 in previous days close.
Yeah.
It's where that big order was sitting before it pulled.
Just shorted some space here. Let's see where we're going to go on this through 31. Cover some here at 3080. 3081 filled. Everything's choppy.
Right, back out of CCL and wait for a minute.
Yeah, we're just getting chop here. Covered some more space here. 3077. Wow, TAL really just tanked. It's getting a little nervous here on space. I think I'm going to cover the rest here. I can see it squeezing back up. What's the index is doing? Dropped. Q's dropped. Yeah, so out of space. Out of space. Might just squeeze back up there. What is TAL? TAL's down at yesterday's high.
I tried along an AMD. It looked like it was about to bounce, and it was green for a second, but it didn't hold. So.
Yeah, nothing is really making its mind up at least what to do here. What's IBM selling? Oh, CCL looks like it's going to try for another pop here, maybe. I don't know. I just don't trust anything right now.
Watching Neo here at S3, seeing if it's going to make a decision. But right now, looking like it's still downtrending, so I need some more volume.
Apple's losing it here. The Qs are dropping. Space rejected the 9 moving average there. Short piton, nice. Tempted to go short on space again. Yeah, I'm going to go short on space again, 3080. The only problem is I just don't like the, we could either bounce here or keep going lower. 9 moving average is telling me we're going lower.
Trying a long on Neo.
Keeping this, my size.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, hell yeah. There we go. Partial. Woo! That was great. Come on, hold that, Neo. Let's go.
Yeah, space might have some support here. So I'm thinking, but you know what? I'm going to get out of it. I don't really like it. Yeah, it just looks like it's trying to hold here, this 31 level. SPY is kind of picking it up a bit. IBM's looking like it's going to maybe break out here. Oh, everything's just been, yeah, look at that. Ah, space. Now it's going to break down. It's got along some IBM here because it looks like it's trying to break out. 143.33. Got the high here, 143.86.
All right, bailed the rest of my Neo position for now. Not getting any good turnaround just yet.
Yeah, space. Look at that. And I knew. Oh, jeez. Should have stuck with that short. Oh well. C'est la vie.
I'm back long on CCL in from 1982. I'm gonna see if we hold, get above VWAP and hold.
Yeah, I can see. I don't know, CCL.
Mm.
I feel like it's stuck in a range.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah. A lot of these stocks. I'm still holding IBM here. Let's see what it does. The longer it stays here, the more cautious I am on it. Just keep everything, just keeping all these trades kind of small today, just because, like I said, nothing seems to be, doesn't seem to be a lot of sort of action.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. IBM volume's really dropping off on it here. Ah, space. Gosh, that was the trade I wanted. Dagnammit. Can't chase it now. Yeah, BA's popping. Okay, let's see what IBM's going to do here. Seems stuck. Just want to see some a little pop here. AMC is going. Here we go. Come on, come on, IBM. Let's giddy up now. I'm getting out of most of my IBM just flat. It just doesn't. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so I got out just so they could pop it up. There we go. Okay,
That was nice of you.
Yeah, that was nice of them. All right, selling some here. That's right at R1, 143.70. I just have a little bit left because I got out of a lot of it. BA's popping up, eh? Making a bit of a move here. The Qs have found a bottom, possibly. All right, so here we go. I guess I'll look at 144 as possible. Or 145. There we go. 144. Still holding on IBM. Okay, selling 144.06. So I'm out of it now. Okay, so SPY is starting to warm up here. Interesting. AMD sold off. It was really strong yesterday. It's funny how one day they go up and then and fight a trend, and then the next day they just drop. All right, SPY's making a move here.
There we go.
TZA.
All right, got a partial on Neo right at previous day's close.
All right, well, finally made a bit of money on IBM. Apple's right back up near high of day here. It's right back up at previous day high. Maybe it goes higher. SPY is going. I'm watching TAL just to see if it can get back up to the 20 moving average, or the 9 moving average, I should say. So I'll take a short there maybe. Apple looks like it's going to break out here. Just long some Apple as well. There's an R3 there. I'm gonna sell some Apple right here at R3. 144.26.
There we go. Long CCL from a VWAP / opening price.
Nice. I'm short TAL 1940.
Come on, break out. Go. It keeps stuffing off a high a day, though.
Yeah.
All right, it's just getting frustrating. I'm going to have to leave that one alone for a little while.
Yeah, I got to stop looking at space.
78's a better entry than I had, though. Good job.
Unbelievable. Just should have hung on a little bit longer. One of those days. Getting squeezed on towel, so I'm going to get out of that. Still holding some Apple here. I think it's going to push higher. Space. Yeah, I knew space was gonna, kind of figured space would bounce somewhere around here. S4. Yeah, yeah, it could be a 920 on Tal. Yeah. The only thing is the 9's kind of flattening out there. It's a little early for a 920 trade too. Usually 920 trades happen after, 45 minutes or so. This was just a double bottom on Tal. Should have played it to the long side actually. So we're still holding some Apple here. See if we can get through this high of day. CCL still squeezing there, eh? It looks like it wants to go higher.
Yeah, I stopped trading it, so I'm sure it'll pop now.
Yeah, just like space.
I got frustrated trying to get entries on it. Yeah, there it goes, finally. Pah.
Yeah. Yeah, just like my space trade. Decided to drop on me just after I got out. Not an easy morning to trade here.
Mm-mm. I mean, we kind of expected shop for the first half hour or so, so no surprise we've gotten plenty of that.
Yeah, I think so, yeah. Should have taken space long there. Gosh, I had a few missed opportunities. Apple's still trying to decide what to do at this 144 level. I think I'm gonna get out of the rest of Apple here. Let's see what it does right now. Gonna pop or drop? Still holding. Here we go. Come on. This again, these things stay here at these tops too long. Traders get impatient and they bail, so it ends up flushing. So we'll see what Apple does here. I'm out of the rest of it. It's making me nervous here. IBM could be putting in a bit of a top here. SPY is still going up here. BA is still climbing. BA is on a tear. Funny, some of the XLF's up a bit. XLE's up a bit now. The index that's really bouncing here today is the IWM, which is weird. It's the one that's probably sold off the most, so it kind of makes sense. Anyways, the space short was my regret of missing out today.
Right.
Jeez. Yeah, I know SPY's going higher. SPY's popping up here. Just went a little red on the day. Space is dropping again here. Apple's still looking like it might actually squeeze and break out, but I don't trust it at this point. Yeah, nothing I'm seeing here really gets me too excited. Maybe SPXL is is a way to trade the SPY here. On a pullback. Looks like Apple wants to go. Going to get long Apple again. As long as the SPY is going higher, Apple will probably follow. Heavy sigh. Yeah, I flip back and forth. That SGOC is just a disaster. It's not trading well at all. Space, maybe put in a higher low here. Nothing is really, again, this is just nothing too exciting going on today. Usually come up with something, but unfortunately that, yeah, X is moving. Oh yeah, look at X. X popped up. Like X. Yeah, there goes CCL. CCL turned around.
CCL frustrated me so much this morning. I got one good long on it and then 2 break evens, and I was just like, you know what, I'm done. And then it takes off.
Mm-hmm.
Like, thanks a lot.
I know, eh? Well, Apple's lost to 9, so I'm gonna get out of here. Pretty much break even. Doesn't seem like it's wants to move at all. Space is space couldn't stay above the 9 moving average. Yeah, X is really lit up here. Just watching for maybe a possible double bottom on space here. Still lots of selling. AMD, yeah, I know it's kind of strange, isn't it strange? It was green on a big red day yesterday. Now it's red on a green day. Go figure. Space might find a bottom here. Try taking a bit of a long here at 29.75. 29.65 will be my stop. And sell some here at 88. See if we can get back over, back to 30. Sell some more. I sold some 29.99. All right, selling some more here at 30.07. Yeah, VWAP, the 20 moving average is 30.50. Still couldn't get through that 9 moving average. Still have a bit of shares left in space. They're floating around in space. Here we go. Let's see if we can get through the 9 here. Yeah, well, you never know. It still may drop. It's it's sort of at a, I would say it's sort of at a do or die place right here. Here we go. All right. So I move my stop up on this mental stop up to about 30. If we lose 30 again, I'm going to be, I'll be out of it. On space. CCL's pulling back now. Again. Come on, just want to see one more nice squeeze on space here. Come on, one more squeeze. The longer it hangs around here, the less likely I think we're going to see a squeeze. So I'm getting out of the rest of it. I'm out at 3007 on space. I just don't like the way it's trading here. It looks like we could flush again. I think IBM's going to 145, maybe. There's a bit of an ask there. ELF looks like it's in play. ELF. I don't like the spread on it. It's got had a 10-cent spread there a few minutes ago. Oh. Yeah, nothing's really, yeah, it's just a typical summer day here. We're just, things seem to be just chopping along. Spaces now just finding a level here. Apple's just been chopping for the last 20 minutes or so. Wow, X is creeping up. Maybe there's some stuff going on with the infrastructure thing. It's supposed to be announced tomorrow, I think. Trying to get something through. Yeah, I don't know. Space is everything's, the SPY is just sort of settling into a range here. The KRE is, which is the regional ETF for the regional banks, is strong today.
I just took a little bit of a long position on space at $30. See if it holds this push or not, or breaks out. I haven't been talking much because I haven't had any trades, so nothing's really setting up in the ranges I like. So I've been kind of just hanging back and waiting to see what happens. So see if space starts to squeeze here. If it does, great. If not, I'll bail.
Yeah, look at, there goes Apple too. Apple's breaking out. Just not patient enough here this morning. Things are moving. It's just taking a long time. Yeah, so NVIDIA's down about $12 today in yesterday's terms, yesterday's share price. So it's down $3 today.
NVIDIA seems to be setting a value range between 183 and let's just call it 185. It seems to be consolidating this range. If it breaks out from like 185.50, might be a thing.
Yeah, my chart's all screwed up on NVIDIA. I don't know how you fix that. On a 2-minute chart, I can't. It just looks like there's a bunch of levels way up around 750, and then it's trading down about 185.
It's because it's split.
Yeah, I know.
It did that. It did the split this morning, so now any of the larger time frame charts are pretty much jacked.
Yeah, so I can't get a sense of where it's going to. SPY's going higher. SPY's pushing higher. I kind of figured we were going to
bounce a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of figured this was going to be basically a bounce after yesterday's sell-off. AMC. I was thinking about watching AMC this morning.
Small partial on space at VWAP.
Nice. Did get to VWAP eventually. I've had the right idea on 3 different trades. That space short, Apple long. Of course, now it decides to break out. Apple did a 920 trade there. I missed that. See how Apple lost the right around 10:08. Apple lost the 9 moving average, came down, almost touched the 20, and then took off.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez.
Yeah, I gotta start looking for those more. It's a really nice pullback, especially if it's low volume on the pullback. That seems to work really nice.
Yeah. Yeah, X had dropped at the open, and then popped a little bit back up, pulled back, put in a higher low, and then it's been off to the races ever since.
You're using a 2-minute chart on that, right, Brian, for your 920?
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, no, a 2-minute.
Yeah, 2-minute chart. Yeah, they're in there buying X today. Apple's, yes, there goes the Qs. Qs are popping. XLK is popping, which is the technology ETF. Getting a bit of a bounce back today. KRE is still going. It's probably going to go to 62 here.
NVIDIA is trying to test that area, that value area I was talking about here. If it can break out, might start doing some stuff. Maybe people start buying it up.
Well, guys, maybe with that, if it is a slow morning, maybe we'll say farewell to our friends on YouTube for the morning, since we're still out there with them.
Oh, okay. Have a good one, everybody.
You're getting feedback, Brian, that your voice is very calming. So the soothing, dulcet tones of Brian Peasant in the morning.
It's just
Soothing sounds of the prophet of profit.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right,
Maybe
guys.
I'll do some.
Thanks for joining
I was
us.
going to say maybe I'll do some Barry White music.
Yeah. Sing it, you crooner.
Yeah.
All right.
Can't get enough.
Hopefully you'll join us again tomorrow morning or in the room, and then you can trade with us all day. Again, use the codes, the discount codes that were provided earlier, and we'd love to see you. Hopefully if you do, you'll say hi and let us know that you're newly joined. So if not, we'll see you back here tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock, when we broadcast again live to YouTube. Have a great day, everybody.